Hello viewers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and bald-headed babies. Welcome to Jen and Phil, or Phil and Jen in the Philippines. And as you can see, as promised, Jen's appearing on camera. Now she's a little bit nervous, so forgive her until she gets used to everybody and doing the vlogs. And what we're going to do is just, Jen, say hi to the viewers.
Hello viewers. To our
all our friends all over the world.
yeah, friends all over the world, from Thailand, Sawadika, from Germany, Guten Morgen, and to our viewers from UAE. We have some viewers from UAE I've seen, and Sabay Khel.
Okay, and of course the Americans, the Canadians, the Poms,
everyone.
the Welsh, everyone. We've been overcome with the response, and we absolutely love the comments.
And congratulations for your 500 viewers.
Well, it's our 500 viewers now. Actually, it's
amazing.
It's going up so quickly since we actually hit 500 last night. I think last time we looked, we've got about 551, which is out of this world. And you've got to admit to the viewers, you didn't think we'd ever get there, and I've got to admit as well, I didn't think anyone would be interested enough to watch our little two bobs worth. But anyway, you have, and you're obviously enjoying it. And as we said, it's not a generic response to any of your questions. It's just our experiences. And even with Jen, for the Filipino viewers, she may say things that you don't agree with, but it's coming from the position of her experience and her beliefs, and where she comes from, of course, in Mindanao. And we all know the cultural differences are wide and varied between Filipinas and Filipinos all over this fabulous country. First thing we'll do, Jen, is we'll tell the viewers a little bit about what I've already covered from a Westerner's point of view, and we'll get it from your point of view as a Filipino. We'll talk first of all, and I'll hit you with some questions and you can answer, and we'll go from there. One of the big queries is, why do Filipino women such as yourself, attractive, good-looking women, seek out Western men?
Yes, yeah. Well, I will speak only as for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I look for a foreigner because I have been married with a Filipino. I thought is Western men are more open-minded,
Mm-hmm.
and we have more freedom compared to when having a Filipino partner for me, because I was a widow before, and those difficulties, and I said, okay, I'll go with a foreigner. And of course, I wanted to have a better life. Yeah, we are tired of being poor. And we thought that, yes, a foreigner will give us a better life, and then we will do the same.
So what about the age-old question about the age differences? Because not all Filipinos have relationships with older guys, but obviously a lot of them do, and it causes a lot of, let's say, for instance, arguments or consternation or whatever. Why is it so acceptable for Filipinos, or is it acceptable for Filipinos to go out with older Western guys?
Well, normally, really, we still get bad comments for a Filipina going with the older guys.
And that's from fellow Philippines residents? That's from Filipinos saying bad comments?
Yes, it's not really accepted yet totally here in the Philippines, maybe.
So one of the big misconceptions is that it's totally acceptable across the board that Filipinos marry older guys. It's not really accepted 100% at this particular point in time.
They don't understand that. For me, as for my personal experience, I've married at the young age with the young. We like mature guys.
Okay. And when you were married the first time, your husband was a little bit older than you, or a lot older?
A little bit older than me, like 5 years.
And what did you find the difference between marrying, say, someone like me, okay, we've talked about the maturity type of thing and the difference between marrying your first husband. What were the pros as far as marrying your first husband? Obviously youth and vigour and
Yes.
and whatever, but the major differences between the two relationships.
Yeah, I think the Filipino women are more mature.
Mm.
We mature at a very young age compared to the Filipino guys.
Okay, and why do you think Filipino women mature faster than the guys?
Yeah, I don't know, because it's our culture here in the Philippines that at a very young age we are taught of we are more the responsibilities of a woman here in the Philippines. We thought of house chores and everything. You know, we have to cook at a very young age. When I was 5 years old, my mom taught me to wash my clothes and the cooking and the fetching water, all that stuff. So we become responsible. The responsibility has been injected to us at a very, very young age.
And what about the guys? What about the
guys,
boys?
they just let them go. They just let them play and do whatever they wanted, you know, stuff. Because that's in the Philippines, woman should be taught at a very young age to have more the responsibility in the house.
And this is not unique to the Philippines. You know, they do it in Africa.
Yes.
They do it in a myriad of different countries where women shoulder the burden of domestic chores.
Yes.
And whatever. But in the Philippines, it's still practiced.
Yeah,
And
until now.
Yeah, until now. So that's the grounding. So when eventually Filipinos, and they do marry young, and that, do you think that's because of the Catholic faith that you shouldn't really have relationships unless you're married? Is that one of the reasons they marry young in the Philippines?
Marry young in the Philippines, I don't know. What do you mean?
Well, in the West, marriage is becoming later and later and later in life between people, whereas in the Philippines here, it's not unusual for a 16, 17-year-old girl to marry an 18, 19-year-old guy, even though they've got to get permission from the families. But it's not unusual to get married in the Philippines very, very young. So do you think being married that young, one, you have a full grasp on the responsibilities of being married? Two, that even though you may be well trained as far as domestic chores are concerned, what are the guys' responsibilities when you marry young in the Philippines? Do they carry on and they become responsible, or do they?
Well, some of them become responsible when they get married. Yeah, some doesn't.
So they carry on like normal.
Normal. Yeah.
So what they've done is okay, like a lot of relationships in the West as well. So you go through that. Now you became a widow at 27.
Yeah.
We won't go into that, but you now find yourself a widow, and you became an OFW, and you went overseas and worked. We can talk about that in another video. And then all of a sudden, you know, Muggins comes along, I come along, and I enter your life. So what I know for a fact, and we've discussed it, is never love at first sight. What was some of the appeal that you saw in me as opposed to other Western guys that may have shown an interest?
Well, first thing and foremost is that you accept who I am. It's very difficult for a Filipino that has a baggage, like I have a kid, you know, and then my responsibility as a breadwinner in the family. So the first thing, and you have a good heart. You accepted me to who I am, and then you accept my family.
Well, we're trying, and we're still trying to be accepted 100% by the family. And well, that's good, and that probably makes things a lot easier. Let's talk about the family and the family dynamic, and because Westerners don't really understand the tight-knit situation between a Filipina and her family. Because the consensus is in the West that you marry the woman, you don't marry the family, where it's completely opposite here. Why is there such a tight-knit thing going on with the family?
Well, I believe that, yes, I always heard that the comments like, if you marry a Filipina, you have to marry the entire family. Yes, of course, and that's how it is. You cannot take away that thing that you have to marry the family. It doesn't mean that you are really going to marry the family, because for us traditionally it's our culture that the family first, you have to ask for our hand.
Which I did.
Yeah, you have to ask for our hand from our parents. It's like a blessing and respect. We need, in our belief, you need the blessing from the family, from the parents, and from the relatives, grandparents, like that. You should have a blessing.
So it's not just, getting permission from the father. You really, as a Westerner, summed up by the entire family.
Yes. And then do not take it in a wrong way. Why you need to get approval to everyone? Well, that's how it is. You need approval because for us, from the blessing, because we believe that if you are not blessed from the family, your relationship as a couple won't work.
So, in effect, if the family or certain members of the family don't agree with the union, the relationship, what do you think the success rate is if the family don't agree?
No, because if you don't, if you are not accepted with the other family, then it become my problem. There will be a barrier between you and the family, and that's the problem start.
So we're not saying that you don't go ahead with the relationship. What we're saying is it does create a whole set of new problems. And it may not affect the Western guy because we have a dismissive nature. Once something doesn't go our way, we just dismiss it out of hand and don't involve ourselves. And even though, would you suggest that even though the Filipino may say, baby, that's okay, we'll get along, the pressure's still there from the family? Now, you mentioned beforehand that you were overseas and you were a breadwinner and you were sending money back to the family. Why do overseas Filipino workers, why do they feel the pressure or the responsibility to have to send money back? Why do they do that? Well, with us, out of sight, out of mind to a certain degree, yes, we'll help from time to time.
Yes, the first thing why we are obliged, or we have the responsibility, feel responsible of helping our family back here in the Philippines. The first thing is that when we go abroad, the family help us financially, and then the family immediately, without any telling the family that, oh, you have to do this directly, they will jump off to fill in your responsibility, and then before you go abroad, because it's not easy, and then we feel guilty.
Okay, so guilt's a big thing. And what you're saying in essence is the ability to go abroad. Everyone thinks that you get a job overseas and the employer pays everything. Well, that's not the case in the Philippines. If you wish to go abroad, you usually go to agents who find you the position, but they don't do it for nothing. So you've got to either cough up a fair amount of money to get with an agency, and then you've got to pay for things like airfares and paperwork and whatever yourself before you even leave to obtain that job. So in essence, you've got to get that money together, and of course the family gets together and pays that money, and you start off life overseas with a debt anyway. Is that a true and real summation?
Yes, and plus we wanted to share to them also what we are having overseas.
Okay, because the life, it doesn't matter how hard you work overseas, but compared to the Philippines,
it's harder.
It's harder in the Philippines than it is overseas. So a large percentage of your money came back to the Philippines.
Yes.
And why were the reasons that you sent a large percentage back? The viewers would like to know. What was the dynamic in the family? When you left, who was looking after the kids?
My parents, of course.
And that's
because
traditional.
That's why we are very family. We are very close to the family. We have to for us to survive. We cannot. I cannot go overseas and work without my parents or without my family looking after my responsibility.
Okay.
So that's why in return, that's why we are obliged, or we feel responsible to help them out.
And this is where the balikbayan
Yeah,
boxes
this
come.
is where the balikbay boxes we send from soap to shampoo to everything that they are deprived of having. Yeah.
And of course, these balikbayans and the cash injection support and elevate the family.
Yeah, it's a really, really big help.
So what happens when a Westerner comes along and that money stops?
Yes, there is a big resilient there that's happening, which the foreign husband will not understand, and that breaks our heart.
So it's easy for a foreigner to turn around and say, look, you're married now, love, let the family do their own thing. What don't a lot of Westerners understand about the poverty situation and the government situation in the Philippines?
What?
Okay, a lot of, I'll put it and you can agree or disagree.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the West don't really understand poverty. They can watch it on the TV and they imagine poverty to be like Biafra where there's starving children in the streets, but poverty is poverty. And then a lot of Westerners also equate poverty in their own countries as being the standard of poor. But in places like the Philippines, poverty is 100% poverty. There is no government assistance. There is no safety net. There is no unemployment. There is no health benefits.
That's why, we are very close to the family, because that's how we survive. Who's going to support us without the family?
And even though for a period of time you can leave with a Western guy, those links with the family never disappear.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we support the family, or have been supporting the family for a number of years, and we've invested in certain things that make the family a lot easier, or their life a lot easier. We've made some mistakes as far as that's concerned, trying to do the right thing, and we can go into that at a later date. But people often ask why we started businesses and things like that in the Philippines, and the business failings, or they weren't successful, why we continued on. But it was mainly for the family, should we leave. So we were eventually successful, weren't we, as far as creating a business that the family could handle. And we'll go into that, and I've already started a couple of the business videos if people would like to go back and have a look at those. But let's go back to some of the things between Filipinos and Western guys. We got in the age difference. Do you think Filipinos, when they're with a lot older guys, secretly are embarrassed about those guys, or their hearts are such that they don't really care about the physical aspect as long as someone's...
No, we don't really care about the physical aspect.
And what do you think that is? Is it more the heart of a man and the way he treats you, or is it... and it's really got nothing to do with...
Because for my experience from you, you treat me well. Why would I embarrass from you? You accept me for who I am. I accept you for who you are. So don't think that we are embarrassed from you.
Okay. So what a lot of people don't understand is, to us Westerners, the Filipina is beautiful. And Western people can't understand why a fairly average-looking guy, if not ugly guy, can attract what is considered to be a beautiful young girl. I'm not saying young, a younger woman.
This is funny because you find us beautiful, but for us, we don't find beautiful here in the Philippines. I don't know. We don't because the beauty standard here is it's not like us. It doesn't look like us.
So what is the beauty standard for a Filipino?
Fair skin, white, is small, petite.
Okay, so it's not. It's obviously got to do with complexion. It's got to do with the shape of the face.
Yeah, the shape of the face.
So they're all different things that we don't take into consideration. So okay, so you and a lot of the girls and ladies that go out with Western men don't consider themselves to be attractive, and you're as baffled as to why we pick you.
No, so many. I saw so many on the YouTube, why these foreigners, all their wives, they look like exotic. It means exotic for us is, like the simple looking, typical Filipino. Well, that's what beautiful for you.
Mm. Yeah, I'm not going to argue the point. I'm so pleased that Jen thought you was a plain Jane, because to me she was beautiful. So it was a good fit. I've got a head on me that looked like it's been coughed up by a cat, but she didn't think it was too bad, and so that's how we got together.
Right, yeah, I think we like the different.
Yeah, the difference. And as long as you're not decrepit.
We produce Filipino with the foreigner. We produce the most beautiful human being in the world. Yes.
Well, the thing is, beauty pageants are a big thing here in the Philippines.
Yeah. Oh, look at our all Miss Universe. They're all mixed.
They're all mixed race. So obviously, a lot of Filipinos believe that the mixture of Western or European blood with Filipino blood produces great-looking siblings.
Yes. And then I think, not 100%, but most of the Filipinas that get married with a foreigner, I think they are happier. Well, I was talking for myself, but some didn't work.
Didn't work. And what's one of the biggest things, the reasons you think relationships between Westerners and Filipinos don't work? What do you think? I'm not saying that they're true, but what's your impression of why a mixed marriage doesn't work?
Yeah, first thing is that I don't know, because I am, before I decided to marry a foreigner, I've been exposed already in the world, to overseas. Most of the Filipina that did not work, I think because, from province, you can take the woman from the province, but you cannot take the province out of the woman. That's the big difference is the culture thing. We get the shock, the way you see, the way you talk, and we feel like you are sarcastic. The sarcasm, and the very, very upfront, and we are Filipinas are very emotional, and we take it deeply and so seriously.
So in effect, our intonation with the language, even though you're speaking English, there are very subtle points in English you don't really understand, even though you have a good understanding of English, and the nuances and the way we say things, sometimes, even the way I say things to you, I know shock you,
Yes.
and it's not taken in the way it's meant.
Yes.
So, and a lot of the times I upset you and you become hurt, and it was never my intention to do so. So in essence, the way you say things, or the way Westerners say things, and the tone they say it in,
Yes.
has probably a greater effect than what they say. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. And conversely, from a Westerner's point of view, I know that, and we speak Visayan and Tagalog and whatever in the house, and when I listen to Jen talking to the kids or talking to the neighbours and whatever, and she's not within visual range and I only hear it, it sounds like there's a monumental argument going on, because the billows are so bloody loud. I suppose it's because, you might be in a house where there could be 10 occupants and you've got to be heard, but you're a very noisy people.
Yes, we are noisy. Yes, I don't know, but we are really noisy.
Well, what we'll do, this was just supposed to be an introduction to the viewers, for you, and we'll make continuing videos. We'd like some feedback, just as I plonk this online, to give us some feedback as to whether we did the format correctly and whatever. And the reason you're only seeing Jen at the moment, me behind the camera, is because we did have a speaker that is not really performing as we expected, and it's giving a lot of static. Our equipment is primitive to say the least, but even if we wanted to go and buy equipment here, it's very, very difficult to get hold of good equipment, and it's very expensive. So bear with us as we go along. We will slowly get the right stuff, and the sound quality will be improved. And I know the dogs barking and Motorcycles going up and down are constant and annoying, but that's living in the
It's
Philippines.
noisy here in the Philippines. We are noisy. Everything is noisy.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll sign off. Remember, subscribe, people.
Yes.
Press the button. We'll enjoy it. Ask the questions in the comments and give us a bit of a critique on what we've done. Not the technical side of things, because we're fully aware that it's not the best of quality at the moment. But, you know, like if you want to hear more from Jen, you've got specific questions, we will, if there's enough of you, we'll answer it via a vlog, or we'll answer it online. But anyway, Jen, say goodbye to the viewers until next time, and we'll probably put another film on this afternoon. But this was our dry run and your introduction.
Okay, goodbye. Please like and subscribe. Philin Jen and the Philippines. Thank you.